I want to start this with the entire narrative about Abraham. As said, the Islamic claim is that Abraham built the Kaaba and upon the instructions of Allah, and he was told to invite mankind to the Kaaba, and people would come from all kinds of distant passes. If this were true, let's just apply some reasoning to come to the most most reasonable explanation. If this were true, then we would expect Abraham to have a big connection to the Kaaba, and we would expect the tradition that comes from Abraham, that descends from Abraham, to also highly value the Kaaba. Well, we find Abraham within the Bible. We find his history, his tradition there. And to a great extent, Islam actually originally respects the Hebrew tradition, the biblical tradition which descends from Abraham. Because, as we know, Islam makes references to all the Israelites, the biblical prophets, and tells us about how they were rightly guided prophets of Allah, and the scriptures were sent by Him. It doesn't give us a separate history. It relies on the history of the biblical tradition. And in that history, we find that Abraham, the figure, as it is described in the early history of the Bible, had nothing to do with the region of Arabia, Central or Southern Arabia. His journey was completely spent far up in the north, with lands that have nothing to do with Arabia. And there is no mention of him ever building a place that he would invite all mankind to, and that people would, go to pilgrimage to and sacrifice animals and all that. Right. Before we get to that, again, to point out, if the Islamic narrative was true, Christians and Jews would highly value the Kaaba, and they would have some connection to it over history. It wouldn't just be slightly mentioned, maybe. It would be of great importance, and Muslims and Jews and Christians would know about the Kaaba and would travel there. But nobody even knew what a Kaaba is until Islam started to rise and expand.